All right, Tennessee Titans fans, we are trying something new today. We are putting these into tiers. We have A plus, A, B, C, or D. You know how that works. A plus is the best, D is the worst, and we are ranking off-season moves made by the Tennessee Titans so far this offseason. This can be players that we have let go, players that we have signed, coaches that we have let go, coaches that we have signed, and there's a few of these that they offer down here that I'm going to leave out because I just have no feelings on it one way or the other. But let's get started. We are starting with Aaron Brewer, letting Aaron Brewer go. He was the center the last couple of years, and right off the bat, I'm sorry, I got to go A+. I think that the offensive line was so horrendous last year and the year before. We've talked a lot about left tackle and why that needed to be changed, but center left a lot to be desired as well. This was one of the things that I was afraid wasn't going to change over the course of this offseason, but they made the decision to go another direction other than Aaron Brewer. Andre Dillard, letting Andre Dillard go, that also goes into the A+ category. We all hoped that the Andre Dillard experiment would work out in Tennessee. It didn't. It was a total disaster, and that's part of the reason that the offensive line was what it was last season. So letting him go and parting ways with him was an obvious. It was a given. It had to happen. Had to go in another direction. Azeez Al-Shaair, letting him go, especially with the way things set right now, I'm going to have to put that into a B. I'm not quite sure how I feel about this one because right now I think inside linebacker is really maybe the weakest position on the team right now. And Azeez Al-Shaair was pretty dependable last year, and I think judging by what Ran Carthon and Brian Callahan have said, they were interested in re-signing him and bringing him back. And then I guess Houston made a better offer. He goes to the Texans, and so that didn't work out. I'm a little worried about our inside linebacker room. In fact, I might go ahead and put this down at C. I'm going to put it down at C. I think that it was just that's one that I wish we could have back because that's how worried I am about our inside linebacker room as it stands right now. And I thought he was a good player, and especially since he goes to a division rival now, not a fan of that at all. Calvin Ridley, A+. I love it for all reasons. Number one, Calvin Ridley, unbelievably talented guy. Excuse me. Unbelievably talented guy. Another great weapon for Will Levis to have on the outside. And another thing that makes it an A+ for me is the message that it sends. We are not the same old Titans. We are not the same old Titans that you've come to know that are going to run the ball 50 times a game and bore you to death. No, we're going to air it out. We're going to be a progressive modern offense, and we're going to bring in the best possible weapons that we can. And Calvin Ridley was the top free agent wide receiver this offseason. It had to be done. I love the message it sends about where this organization is going. I'm excited to have Calvin Ridley on board. It is an A+ decision. Awuzie, really one of the first decisions that the Titans made in free agency was bringing on cornerback Awuzie, and I'm going to give this an A. I think, especially when you put it in the context of some of the other cornerbacks that the Titans picked up this offseason, which we're going to talk about shortly. I really like this addition. I think he's a good physical corner, did some good stuff in Cincinnati, obviously familiar with Brian Callahan, and that probably, man, I'm sick, so I'm sorry, I'm going to keep coughing. Probably played a role in why Awuzie chose to come to Nashville. Chris Moore, letting Chris Moore go, I'm gonna give that an A as well. I mean, all due respect to Chris Moore, he made some sensational catches last year, but ultimately, if this offense is going to take the next step, which they have to, it's a must. You've got to have some, a very talented receiving core, and Chris Moore is just a guy, toward 4th, 5th wide receiver on the roster. And last year, he did some great things for the Titans, made some great catches, but I'm not too upset about him going to another team. I mean, it just was one of those things that was not a must for me to bring him back. Denico Autry, not bringing him back, I'm going to give this a D. I'm worried about the defensive tackle position. I think Denico Autry showed last year that he still has a lot left in the tank. And again, he's picked up by division rival Houston Texans. I hate that. And again, I'm going by what Brian Callahan and Rand Carthon have said. I think they wanted to bring Denico Autry back. I think they wanted to re-sign him. It didn't work out. He lands with Houston. This is tough. This is a tough one to lose because I think he was playing at such a high level. And now we have, T'Vondre Sweat, second-round draft pick that we're hoping blossoms into something. But, man, that's a big hole to fill on that defensive line. Maybe my least favorite move of the offseason was not bringing back Denico Autry. This is a big one. Derrick Henry. Letting Derrick Henry go. This is the toughest one on the list. Derrick Henry is my second favorite Titan of all time. What he did for this team and for the city of Nashville, unbelievable. And he's still got a lot left in the tank, and what an addition he is unfortunately going to be to the Baltimore Ravens this year. But this is going to be controversial because I love him. I'm going to give it an A. I'm going to give it an A, and it's nothing against him, but you've got to send a message about where this organization is headed. It's been abundantly clear the last 2 years we have to go in another direction. Have to. With the way the NFL is going, with the direction things are going, we have to bring in a new identity. And as much as I love Derrick, and you love Derrick, and there's a part of me that wishes Derrick could have just been a Titan for his entire career, the time has come where you have to take everything in another direction. Like I said earlier, we can't be the team that just runs the ball 50 times a game and tries to beat Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and all the others, tries to beat them 12-10 in a, scrappy mud fight. You can win some games that way, but you're not going to win them all, and you're not going to reach your goal. And so as much as I hate it, and as much as it's going to break my heart to see him wearing that ugly purple this fall, it's time to go another direction. We can't, he carried this team for 5 or 6 years. He can't do it forever. The Ravens are a much better situation for him because it doesn't all fall on him. Derrick even said that in a press conference the other day, and he was right. Julius Chestnut. I mean, I'll give it a B. I think that, he's kind of a guy's name that you hear a lot about in the preseason. They decided to bring him back, and, I think that he could be, a guy that could contribute in the regular season. Obviously, Pollard and Spears are going to be alternating in, but if you need a third guy in case of injury or in case of, a third down back, that's a bigger bruiser type back, yeah, then maybe Julius Chestnut could play a role on the team. Kenneth Murray, I give it a C, I guess. I don't know in what capacity they're going to use him, bringing him in. In coverage, he has not been very good with the Chargers. He's kind of a guy that you just send on a blitz, really, and maybe they can find a place for him in that regard. But, I don't know if he's enough to fill the hole that Azeez Al-Shaair is going to leave. And I already said earlier, the inside linebacker room's not looking too great, as it stands. And so I don't know if I'm relying on Kenneth Murray to come to be a starter. But I guess time will tell. Kristian Fulton, letting him go. I'm going to give it an A+. God bless Kristian Fulton. But the thing that makes this an A+ is looking at what we've done with the cornerback room this offseason. Looking at how much it has improved. And we're going to talk more about that in this next one. I think you have to give it an A+. I think Kristian Fulton is a good cornerback, but I'm not so sure that he's a great cornerback. I think he can do some good things sometimes, but it's inconsistent. I'm not saying he doesn't belong on an NFL team. He does, but a number one corner, I don't think so. And so when you look at the inconsistencies over the years mixed with how they replaced him and rebuilt that secondary, I got to give it an A+. And on that note, L'Jarius Sneed. The trade for L'Jarius Sneed goes right along with it. It's an A+. Again, same thing I said about Calvin Ridley. I love the message that it sends. We're not messing around. This is going to be the same old Titans. We are going to completely reinvigorate our wide receiver room. We're going to completely reinvigorate our secondary so that we can pass the ball and that we can stop the pass. I love it. I think L'Jarius Sneed's one of the best corners in the league. Only had to give up a third rounder to get him. Thumbs up. Lloyd Cushenberry. I'll give that an A, and the only thing that keeps it from being an A+ is that I see there is some hesitation from some about him just because he's had one great season, and when somebody has one great season, it leads you to say, was it just a fluke? Can they keep it going? But I'm happy about Lloyd Cushenberry. Obviously, I said parting ways with Aaron Brewer was an A+, and replacing him with Lloyd Cushenberry, I think that's a huge improvement. Very excited. I think the whole left side of the line up to the center is completely solidified. There's no draft picks on this, by the way. It's just free agency moves. So yeah, I love the addition of Lloyd Cushenberry. The firing of Mike Vrabel. If you've been watching the channel, listening to the podcast for any length of time, I have gone in depth time and time again. I think Mike Vrabel is a really good football coach, and he deserves to be coaching somewhere. But in terms of the Tennessee Titans letting him go, to me, I'm going to give it an A. And here's why. To sum it up, I said it about Sneed, I said it about Ridley. You've got to send a message that what we've been doing isn't good enough. What we've been doing, the roster that we've had, the way that we've been playing, the uninspired football that we've seen, the stubbornness, the inability to change is not good enough. And contrary to what the national media would have you to believe, as great of a job as Mike Vrabel did at some things, there were other things that he was very stubborn about. And it hurt this team, and it hurt this organization, and so a lot of people are baffled because they think Mike Vrabel hung the moon, and he will get another job someday. He will. But to insinuate that the situation in Tennessee was good, it wasn't. You had to part ways to send a message that it's not good enough and we're going to have to do better. That's why it's an A. The only reason it's not an A+ is because, as always, like with anything, it could backfire. What if Brian Callahan's not a good coach? What if the team ends up worse? What if the team ends up being horrible for the next couple of years? Then we're going to look back and say, boy, I miss Vrabel, right? So I can't quite give it an A+ yet, but I will give it an A for the message it sends. Nick Folk coming back as a kicker, I'm going to give that an A+. Thought he was great last year. Glad to have a reliable kicker back. NWI, I give that a B. I like NWI, and I don't mind him being back. I think that the thing that I've had against him the last couple of years has not even been his fault. Nick Westbrook-Akine deserves to be on a roster. He's a hard worker. He knows what he's doing. He gives it everything he's got. But the Titans have been trotting him out there as a wide receiver 2, even a wide receiver 1 at times. And he needs to be a, rotational guy when somebody needs water or somebody's hurt, and a special teams guy. That's his role. And Vrabel tried to make him into Jerry Rice. Sadiq Charles, I mean, I'm going to give it an A. I think that, having somebody like that come in when you've had the offensive line issues that the Titans have had, a lot of people think Sadiq Charles is going to come in and be a starter. He's a veteran. He's reliable. And so I think it's a smart move to have somebody like that you can plug in on the right side, which is still kind of a mystery as of right now. Sean Murphy-Bunting, So here's the thing. I would have given it a whoops. I would have given it a B. Okay, I would have given it a B until we signed Awuzie and Sneed. I would have given it a B before that. But when you put it in the context of we brought in Awuzie, we brought in Sneed, we've got McCreary there. When you put it in that context, I'm tempted to give it an A. Because I feel like what we replaced him with, is better. There is always depth at corner, but I'm going to keep it at I just don't think Sean Murphy-Bunting is a depth kind of guy. I think he is a starter. So I don't know if he's the kind of guy that you can bring in and just say, all right, we're going to bring you in rotationally. He's probably too good to be that. So you had a choice. Either bring him back or go in another direction. And when you look at the other direction they went in, I've got to give it an A. It would have been much lower if they had replaced him with somebody worse. But when it's Sneed and Awuzie coming in, then fine. We're getting near the end here. I saw the Chargers outfit. Sebastian Joseph Day. I'll give it a B. I think it could be, he's done some good stuff, but again, you're trying to replace Denico Autry. You're trying to find somebody that you can put next to Big Jeff on the defensive line, and Denico Autry was so good. That's what sucks, man. Denico Autry has been so good. And now he's going to be with Houston. That's why you see it down there. It's my least favorite move on here, probably. I hope Sebastian Joseph Day and T'Vondre Sweat and Marlon Davidson that they brought back, I hope these guys can, maybe the three of them together can rotate in and get the same production as Autry. But I'm skeptical. I'm not going to lie. So I'll give it a B. I'm not going to do these three right here, these last three, because I just don't have feelings on them one way or the other. But Tony Pollard is next. And I'm going to give that a B as well. Tony Pollard, the potential is there. We saw in Dallas a couple of years ago what he was able to bring to the table. Obviously, he was tearing it up, right? Last year, he dealt with injuries. Things didn't work out as well. So you know how it is. When you're bringing a guy in who's coming off of injury, didn't have the season people thought he would last year, it leaves you wondering, but in the role they're going to have him in with Spears, obviously he can help in pass protection. He can help in the pass game. So I am very intrigued by the upside of it. But also, this was the first thing the Titans did. As soon as free agency opened, they paid Tony Pollard. And if it doesn't work out and if he's not able to give you... This is why I don't put it any higher than a B. If he's not able to give you what you want, people are going to look at what Derrick Henry signed for in Baltimore and say, well, for like $1 million more, we might could have, which I don't remember how the contract shakes out, but then you're going to have people wonder why we didn't keep Derrick, right? So I think that I'm very intrigued by Tony Pollard, but I'm also still a little bit like, I'm glad to have him, but just not who I was expecting. Leroy Watson, I'll give that a B as well. I'm down with anybody who can come in and help out this offensive line. The offensive line is as bad as it's been. I say let's bring in as many guys as we can and let them fight it out. And last but not least, the hiring of Brian Callahan. I'm going to give it an A, and I'm going to reserve the right to make it an A+ later. But I'm going to give it an A once again because of the message that it sends. Titans have never had a coach like this that is offensive-minded, younger, ready to come in and change the look and the feel of this organization. We're not going to be that boring team who can, maybe get 7 or 8 wins just off of our hard work and determination. No, we're coming out, we're ready to throw, we're ready to move the ball, we're ready to put our quarterback in a position to win. And so I like everything that this hire signifies. I like that he was able to bring in his dad. And I'm very, I've, and like I said, we haven't even gotten to the preseason yet, but I like everything I've heard from him. I like everything I've seen from him so far. It's a different feel, it's a different atmosphere, it's a different look, and for that, I'm very grateful because, like most of you, I was sick of what I was seeing before. Let me know what you agree with, disagree with, no, don't even agree at all, disagree completely, whatever. Let me know in the comments below. God bless you guys. Tighten up. Bye.